Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Happy Monday. I hate Mondays, but I hope you're enjoying today's Monday. I hope you're all excited about this week's daily challenge. We're on day number 5 of the XD daily challenge, and I'm pumped. So excited. I got sick over the weekend, but super excited to be here hosting this week. And a huge thanks to Michael for jumping in last week. And let's see who we have we have Peter. Hey, Peter. Hey, Tim. Hey, Dilip. I saw Van Dam in here, who's 9 years old, by the way, which is incredible. We got Paco in the house, not in my house. He's not here today. So hopefully I remember to switch screens this time. Eric is here. Great to be here. Let me know where you're from and in the chat, and I'll read some of those out. Let me hop over here, and we're going to get going, because right after this stream, we have the amazing Paul Tranny jumping in for a Getting Started on Adobe Fonts, who's going to be designing some really cool travel posters. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to definitely stick around for that, and I hope you will as well. So today's day 5 of the XD Daily Challenge, which you can find on behance.net/daily creative challenge. And if you scroll down this page, you will find today's theme, which is create an ebook UI for a tablet, which is fun. And I'm going to be showing you how to do something like that today. And if you didn't catch last week's daily creative challenges, you can actually go back right up here. You can start from Tuesday. There's no deadline. You can just create, inspire yourself, and build up your portfolio. We've gone through event web pages. Then we took that and we made it responsive. We had a photo album. We had a order taxi service, kind of like Uber or Lyft. And then today we're on the ebook UI for tablet. We've got people from Switzerland, from China, Poon, Sweden, Berlin, Seattle, all over the place. This is cool. And thanks, Lee, for posting that link in the chat. Now, one other cool thing about the daily challenge is we have a Slack group. You can join our Slack channel. And let me actually bring it up here. Boop. Here we go. Here's the Slack channel. And again, we have people from all over the world introducing themselves, from Germany, Korea, Delhi, a lot of places, a lot of cool places that I haven't been to that I would like to go to one day. We also have a help section and a design feedback section. So if you run into some troubles, like a few people ran into an issue where they couldn't figure out how to add the time trigger, and you actually have to make sure your whole entire artboard is selected for that to happen. So we're in there all day. There's some product managers and some engineers in here as well to help you out if you need any. And if you want to get some feedback on your designs, you can post them in the design feedback section. And we have almost 8,500 people in this Slack channel. That's insane. Really cool stuff. And if you are participating in the daily challenge, make sure to use the hashtag XD Daily Challenge. That way we can find it. So if you go to Behance and you search XD Daily Challenge, we're going to find your stuff, and we're going to highlight it in our stream. So we had a lot of people actually, take part in last week's UI challenges, and these are just a few of them that popped up for Friday's challenge, which was to create a ride-sharing app UI, and I think these are pretty cool. I love the way some of these are laid out, and a note, if you are using Auto Animate, which I would definitely recommend. I just hit my microphone. I'm sorry about that. I would definitely recommend using Auto Animate. Right now, it is not supported on a web embedded prototype. So what you should do, just like Louise did, is embed a video, and we'll be able to play it back. Anyone will be able to play it back. And oh, there's Louise in the chat. Hello, Louise. Welcome. This was great. I've had a lot of fun just browsing through some of this stuff. And I love Auto Animate because it adds these very simple, subtle interactions for some of the projects. Look at the car go. Look at it go. That's so cool. We've got someone from Vancouver, fellow Canadian. Thank you. Welcome. Beijing. Oh, love it. So that was Louise's. And we've got Iqbal. Let me zoom in here. Again, really nice presentation. The yellow is really nice. Not too overpowering. Maybe I would tone it down just a little bit. But again, we have a video that shows off some prototyping features. Where would you like to go? I'm not sure. And that's the one thing I love about the ability to record directly from XD. You can just export it, save it to your computer, and pop it on Behance. And it's only available on the Mac right now. We're figuring it out with Microsoft on Windows, but hopefully that'll hit soon. Love it. And let's hop over to this one here. Again, really nice presentation. Got all the screens down here. Janice is driving a Toyota Prius. Nice car. And once again, we have a great presentation with auto animate features built right in. Really cool stuff. And I think there's one more here. I really like the purple and the graphics on this one. Really nice presentation. So we're seeing some really creative, really fun stuff. And yeah, as Samuel said, in the meantime, until we get recording directly in XD on Windows, if you use the Windows and G key, you can actually record your entire screen that way. Really cool stuff. So again, today we are tackling an ebook UI for tablet, and you can grab the template right here at the bottom. Download it to your computer, open it up in XD, which we're going to do. And right after this stream, you can rewatch the stream if you can't get enough of me by clicking this button right here. So let me hop over to Adobe XD. Paco must be so happy I made sure to switch my screen today. Oh, that's Slack. That's not XD. XD is right over here. Here we go. And let me make sure I can see all your lovely faces in the chat. Amazing. All right, so this is the template that we're going to be working from today. And we have some inspiration over to the left from the Amazon Kindle app, which is pretty good. It's very simple. We got this little page fold, which we're not going to be tackling in this video, in this stream, but I would encourage you, if you have a little bit extra time or you want to really push yourself, see if you can figure that out, because it definitely is possible to create some sort of auto-animate-ish design with this page curl. So I challenge all of you to try that. It's going to be fun. And we're going to kind of tackle something like this with an image in the background, some books, and then we're going to take things to another level and auto-animate some of it. It's going to be fun. And if you're just getting started in Adobe XD, we really encourage using assets, right? So here's a few color schemes that you can use. And one cool thing is we can actually go over to our assets panel, which is at the bottom left-hand corner. We can, if you really like one of these color schemes, let's say, whoops, let me get rid of this. Let's say this one here, you can just select all these colors and you can just press the plus button beside colors and it automatically adds those colors. And what's really neat is that any time throughout your project, if you want to change the color throughout the entire document, you can easily do that by right-clicking on any of these, pressing edit, and then you'll be able to make those changes, and it'll update anywhere you are on your document, which is really fun. And the same works for character styles and symbols as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, let's duplicate this downwards, and I'm just going to delete everything off this artboard. I'm going to keep this. Now this actually, if you need a header for your application and you don't want to create one from scratch, or if you need some icons or a status bar or whatever it might be, if you go up to the top and go to File, then go down to Get UI Kits, you can download UI kits from Apple, Google, and Microsoft for Windows. And it comes with all of these different elements that you can just pop onto your projects. You don't have to worry about redoing any of it, which is really cool. So we are going to start with sort of like a shelf for our books, or just like a repeat grid. So we're going to make it very simple. We're going to grab our rectangle tool over to the left, and we're just going to drag out our first book, just like this. Isn't that simple? Very basic, but very simple. I'm going to turn off the border. We probably don't need a border. And I'm going to set the fill to just a white. I'm not going to really worry too much about the color. What I basically want, very similar to this one, is a few books across and a few books down. In this case, we're probably going to do 3 books across and probably 3 books down. And I want to use a repeat grid so we can make this very simple. And to do that, with this first book selected, where it's not a book yet, but it will be, I'm going to hit the repeat grid button over to the right. And if I have my magnification set up properly, this is the button right here. When you press on it, you'll notice that we now have these green symbols, green handles over to the left. That's the right. I'm clearly still sick. Over to the right and at the bottom. And what we're able to do is we can drag these out in any direction we want, right or down. And we can create a repeated grid, right? So I'm going to drag 3 over to the right and 3 down, just like this. Now, obviously, looking at this, that doesn't really work. It's not going across the entire document. So what we can do is hover our mouse in between, either horizontally or vertically. This is vertically, this is horizontally, and just drag it over. And now we have the padding increasing in between each book. Just like that. Super simple. So it's a nice way to use repeat grids to create repeated elements, but the real power of repeat grids really comes when you want to add content, right? So if I hop over to Finder, let me find Finder. That's not Finder. I mean, that is Finder, but it's not what I wanted. Here we go. So here I have a bunch of books that I just grabbed from Amazon. And what I'm able to do is I could go ahead and just drag one book here and then another book here. But who wants to deal with that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply select all of these books. And all of them, I'm just going to drag them and plop them right there. And Adobe XD is going to distribute them throughout the entire document. Really cool stuff, really simple stuff. And if you did want to add text as well, you can actually load in a plain text document. You just, Chris is telling me to make sure to do a repeat 8 pixel grid. Maybe another day, not today. We got to make time for Paul Tranny to come on. So you can also add text, right? So if you had a plain text document with book titles, you can just drag that onto any text layer and it will also repeat throughout the document. And repeat grid is life. You are absolutely right, Paco. I stand by repeat grid. I love this thing. It's so good. And at any time, you can always make changes to the spacing. You can make changes to whatever you want. Good stuff. Now it's looking a little plain. I do want to add a background image. So back in my tools, I'm going to grab the rectangle tool, simply drag out a box across my entire document. And it's a little bit covering, it's kind of covering everything. So I'm going to go back into my layers, Command or Control Y is the shortcut, and make sure this is at the back. I'm going to name this background, just like that. Now, if I go back over to Finder and grab this image here, I'm going to drag it and it's going to just pop it in there. So now we have this cool space-themed background, and it might be a little bit too in our face. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drop the opacity a little bit. And then if I select the entire artboard, I can change the background to black. So that's just not, it's not overpowering the books. That looks good. Very simple. We're going to keep this as simple as possible. Just have, a very simple bookshelf, just kind of like this one. And now what we want to do, we want to actually bring one of these books front and center. Now this is where we have to break the repeat grid, because if we're using auto animate, at the moment it can't grab a single element and auto animate that. So what we're going to do, we're going to right click on any of these objects and then ungroup the grid. And now what we're going to do, I'm going to drag this over here. So what I did was I held down my Alt or Option key and I simply dragged the artboard over to the right. You can also Command or Control D. And Anel says it's a little bit too dark, so I can just go back here, brighten this up a little bit, and now it's a little bit brighter. So Command and Control D with the artboard selected, we'll duplicate it. And what we want to do, let's say we want Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, great book by the way, to be enlarged, right, when we tap on it. So I'm going to simply grab this guy, make it nice and large, just like that. And now the stuff in the background, we kind of want it to fade away. So I'm going to hide this for a second, and I'm going to select all of these books. And what I'm doing is I'm holding down my Shift key and clicking on all the other books after I selected one of them. And I'm just going to turn down the opacity to 0. And now I can bring back my Harry Potter book, just like that. So now how do we actually make this come to life? And I'm also noticing that the masking is a little bit off. So if I double click on this, I can just change the mask, or I can move it just like that. And you can also do that to objects in a repeat grid as well. Fancy. Perfect. Okay. So now how do we make this actually animate? If I go into the prototype mode and I go down here to my Harry Potter book and I click on it, you're going to notice there's a blue handle over to the right. And if I drag that over to this artboard here, I'm going to choose tap because I basically want, whenever someone taps on this book cover, it's going to do whatever the action is. And in this case, I want it to auto animate. And let's say we'll have it snap into place. and a duration of 0.4 seconds. We can always adjust that later on. And then once that's in place, that's all you really have to do. You just have to design the first state, the second state, and Adobe XD will recognize the differences between the two artboards and make it fancy. So we're going to press the play button at the top, and all we have to do now is click on, or tap, click, whatever, on the Harry Potter book at the bottom. It'll come up, it'll snap into place. The books in the background, because we set the opacity to 0, they'll fade out. So if I actually go back and change this to, let's say, 2 seconds, just so we can see this in action, and press play, you can really start to see the snapping action, the fading in the background, and the enlarging of the book. Now, of course, this is probably a little bit too slow, so we can turn this down. Let's try 0.8 seconds. That looks pretty good. Make it fancy. That's right, Emma. Make it fancy. So the next screen, we basically want to go from this screen directly into a preview of the book. So over here, I'm actually going to just grab some text, but I'm going to drag this over. I'm going to duplicate this one more time. Again, you can use Command or Control D to do that. And I'm going to automatically switch it to a white fill. And you can just do that. You can just basically change the fill color of an image and it will update it. And this is where the book text is going to be. So I already have a preview of the text. I'm going to pop it here. And we also have a template up here with some icons, and we'll get to that in a second. I'm going to resize it so it fits on the screen. And this is a paragraph text, so it's not point, so you can resize it and it'll hide the text that that doesn't need to be seen, or it kind of extends downwards. Right? So there we go. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to grab these icons, copy, go down here, and paste them. Let's go ahead and set the fill to a white and the border as well, just so you can see them. Perfect. So now, how do we transition basically from this to this? So what we do, go back to prototype mode, select the entire artboard, because we're going to have a time transition. This kind of goes back to the question earlier that we see quite often in Slack, is how do you create a time transition? You have to make sure the entire artboard is selected. So click on the artboard's name at the top, and you can I'm going to rename this book cover large. And you'll notice it's selected because the artboard name is in blue. And we have a handle over to the right, which you can drag right over here. It's going to be tap. We're not going to have auto animate. We're just going to do it's not going to be tap. I'm sorry. It's going to be a time transition. And we'll have it sit for about 0.4 seconds. It's going to be a transition, and we'll do, let's say, a dissolve, because there's really nothing here to auto animate. We're going to do, let's say, do an ease in and out, maybe, and 0.8 seconds. We'll see how that looks. So, pressing play. I lost my mouse. Click on the Harry Potter book. It's going to wait a second, and it's going to transition immediately to the actual copy of the text, which is great. So now that's done. We have our text, little preview of the book, and we want to really do something with these icons at the bottom. So this one here, the moon icon, might be, might give you a dark mode. And this one here, the A's, might enlarge the text a little bit. So we're going to duplicate this artboard one more time, hop back into design mode, Command and Control D. And in this case, because we want a dark mode, something a little bit easier on the eyes, we're going to select this image, this rectangle in the background, change it to a very dark color, and then select the text and change that to white. Very simple, right? And then we're going to do one more. We're going to duplicate this downwards. And this one, we're going to increase the text, let's say, to 30 pixels. And we're going to do the same thing, for this guy. Select the text, increase to 30 pixels, and if you hold down your Shift key and press the up or down arrow, it will increase or decrease that text by 10 pixels at a time instead of just one. So, now that we have all these different artboards and different states created, we're going to go into prototype mode. We're going to select our moon, drag it over to this screen here, and it does remember the last settings we used for our transition. So tap, because time is not available now, it defaulted to tap, but it did keep the dissolve, it did keep in and out, and it did keep the duration of 0.8 seconds. So we'll keep it at that for now. And then if we tap on this one, it'll basically go back here. Now, in reality, this would probably be a sun at this point, but we'll keep it as a moon for now. And then this text, we're going to drag down here. This one, we're going to drag up to the top. This one over here. This one over here. And this one over here. Perfect. So, now let's see how this thing is looking. And by the way, if you want to make sure that anytime you press play, if you don't have anything selected, if you want to make sure that your home screen is the one that pops up, if you're in prototype mode, you select an artboard, press this little home icon to the left. That way, if nothing is selected and I press the play button, then that artboard will be the one that pops up. So here we go. Let's see this in action. Let me move this down here so you can see. Press Harry Potter, it pops up. Gives it about 0.2 seconds and automatically transitions to a preview of the book. If we press the moon icon, we have a dark mode. Now that transition was a little bit too slow, I think. It probably wants to snap it a little bit quicker, but we can always change that. Press the moon again, it goes to light mode. Press the text, it increases. And again, the transition's a little bit too slow. So let's actually go back and change these transitions to 0.4 seconds. Just so it looks fancy. And all you have to do is click on any of the handles and just change away. Like that, and I believe there's 2 more here I need to change. 0.4 and 0.4. It might be the fever, you are right. And you know what? I'm noticing I didn't add one for here. Drag this down here. Again, it keeps all the settings. So, one more time. I'm going to move this out of the way. I did forget the text in the dark mode. I got it now. So, Harry Potter, it enlarges, 0.2 seconds, transitions automatically to a preview. Dark mode, oh, that's much better. That looked great. Light mode, dark mode, light mode, you get the idea. Larger text. From the larger text, I can switch into dark mode. It keeps the larger text because we wired that up properly. I can go light mode. You get the idea. Now, of course, there's no back button. We should probably do that. But these are things that you can definitely work into your projects. You can have a little back button at the top. There's a lot of other things. You can add a cool little shelf if you wanted to give some style. You can add some, let's say, shadows behind. If I go ahead and add a shadow here. Let me increase to 5, make this a little bit darker. There we go. And I'm noticing the images that I selected from Amazon, they have a little white border. So that's when you can jump into the masking mode and just pull this out just a tiny bit and it will fix that. And what's kind of cool, if you did break the grid at any point, you can basically, and you want to update your other elements, you can Command or Control C to copy. I think this is going to work. Let me just make sure. It did not work. Okay, never mind. If you're using a repeat grid, make sure to add those shadows first. Because if it's basic shapes, you can Command or Control C to copy and then paste the appearance. But if there's an image fill, not going to work. So that's it. That's it for the UI, the ebook UI design that you all are going to be tackling today. Definitely head over to Behance, grab the template, download it to your computer, jump into Adobe XD, and I would love to see your stuff. Make sure to tweet it at us, use the hashtag XD Daily Challenge, and get creative. I would love to see someone kind of tackle, auto-animate page curls. We'll see if you can do that. But that's it for me. Stick around. In just a few minutes, Paul Tranny is coming up. He's going to be designing some really cool travel posters. And let me switch over here to my face, just a little bit bigger. Yeah, stick around for Paul Tranny. He's coming up in just 5 minutes, creating some really cool travel posters for using Adobe fonts, which was Typekit, which, by the way, now has unlimited type syncing. Really cool stuff. So if you want type font, I'm very sick still. If you want typefaces for your projects in Adobe XD, head over to Adobe Fonts or watch Paul's video stream, whatever it's called. I don't know. I'll see you all later. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. I'm going to go take some more Dayquil, and I'll see you all. I'm really looking forward to your challenges. See you later.